Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
How is everyone?
Awesome.
Excellent. How you going?
Yeah, good. Really good. Besides this downpour, I mean, it's good that we're having the downpour, but
Yeah. Okay. Oh well. What a big day, yeah. Big day today. About just a bit more than an hour ago. What a big day. What's the news?
People are rushing to get into the Ukraine, mate.
They're rushing.
They're rushing to get there.
yeah, it's terrible. It's hard.
So it has started.
It's horrible. You don't really know. What do you say? Going to war. We're going to war.
You know, it's funny. I was even talking to a guy today from Germany, and he said, "No, look, you know, it'll probably happen, but if it does, it'll probably be 2 or 3 weeks away." And I was like, what is it with the mindset of the people from over there? Like, even they were saying on the news this morning that even the people there were they said, we're not panicking because we don't think it's really going to happen. Well, here we are.
I just saw on the news. It's not funny, but it's funny. I just watching the news, and they had a camera trained on the middle of Kiev where there's supposed to be bombing. There's no bombs, but there's all these cars driving in one direction. And I said to Crystal, mate, traffic is normal. No one's panicking over there. She said, they're all the ones escaping. I said, no, but there's a bloke going the other way, and there was one car driving back the other way towards Kiev.
He forgot to turn the iron off.
That's a bloke going to record it. But, I don't know.
They're fleeing in thousands, apparently.
It's very sad, mate. It's very,
very sad.
No good for anyone, but at the same time, there's wars going on all around the world at any given time that we don't even know about or we don't pay any attention to. So,
We've got very limited information, but really, for me, 2014, he went into Crimea, Putin. Nobody said anything. Now he's going to go into here. They're going to put a few sanctions, and he's saying it's not a war. He's just trying to get into two territory. Exactly same story as Crimea. He's going to do the same story of people who don't want to be part of Ukraine anymore and be part of him. It's Russia. And he's going to do exactly the same thing. And I think that the rest of the world is going to watch it. He's playing a bloody good game. I said it last podcast. But the Ukraine thing is a big thing because Ukraine's been fighting to get into NATO.
Yeah, that's the real reason.
And NATO, if they were to get it, would have really been, circling around that southern part of Russia. And now he's taking that. He's trying to really get a bridge from Russia to Crimea, because if he gets that, he's got land territory straight away into the sea. That is huge strategy, you know. So we don't know. And this is a funny thing. And if you were leading a country like Russia, and you have to be at war or doing something heavy to be popular, well, you have to do it. And also, if you can tell people, listen, I've asked NATO to promise me they're not going to put the army in there, they're not going to put their force in Ukraine. They said no. It's other this. If they don't want to talk to me now, I'm going to do something. He's playing chess.
The point of
he's
view
done it clever because he's gone into two areas that, like you said, are contested, and a lot of them want to break away from Ukraine and join back into the Russian, state. So he's doing it very tactically. He's playing chess with real lives.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
I just heard a point of view.
Excuse me.
I just heard a point of view on, they were American, so we'll take it with a grain of salt. But one of the unintended ramifications might be that if no one does anything this time, what's stopping China from invading Taiwan then?
Yeah.
And, if we're setting a precedent for a major power annexing more land, what is stopping the likes of China doing that? And then they tried to draw a bow to Iran, and then next thing, Iran will have a nuclear weapon. That's when Americans start being Americans again. But the lack of action here the ramifications don't really bear thinking, because you won't sleep real well at night if it goes real pear-shaped. So
And if you look at who's backing Russia and who's like on their side, it's China.
Yeah.
China's going, lady, there's nothing wrong with what he's doing.
Yeah.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Well, he's on his side as well.
Clive Palmer. So he's in trouble. Actually, I shouldn't speak ill of Clive because he's very ill at the moment. He just got rushed to hospital. So.
Yes.
You know, talking about Clive, I was looking at the news headlines and there was...
Can we talk about wine for a second, just quickly? Because I need to drink.
All right, let's start.
Sorry, man.
Let's start with the wine. Here's what we're doing it for. We're doing it for the wine.
We're getting thirsty. Sorry, Chris.
All right, you start, man.
I have a Mountadam Vineyards Estate High Eden Chardonnay from the Eden Valley in South Australia. It's a 2018. It's a cool climate Chardonnay, which is interesting from South Australia because there's not a lot of cool climate down there. I probably should have read the label before I bought it because it says there's a lot of French oak. I'm not a big fan of oaky Chardonnays, but rated again for $40, rated very highly on the scale that we use. So we'll see how we go.
Very good.
Good.
Chris?
I've got an extremely rare bottle of wine today.
It's terrible. Here it goes.
If you look it up on the internet for a rating, you won't even find one. It's that rare. It's they've put a lot of thought into the name. It's called Sunday. And according to the label, the grape usually comes from the Pyrenees, but because of the very bad grape season they had, Bendigo in Melbourne saved the day and delivered the wine. So it's a 2020 Cabernet from Bendigo.
Oh, wow.
I know we're not competing, but can we start having
just
a punishment for putting no
something
effort
that's not, mate, it's that good that people can't rate it.
for putting no effort in whatsoever?
And look, if I happen to disappear, can you just call Rita and just see if I'm all right? I don't know if it's wine or furniture polish. I just don't know that yet. All right, so let's find out.
Oh, that's so funny.
Well,
No effort.
upon which it's true. We have to start our competition, but we're giving Cam one last week now. The bottle doesn't arrive. He's going to have to be punished with a triple bottle, and the bottle will have to be worth big money. So he's got now some Russian game at the door of his Ukrainian.
Hey, we're not having jokes, mate. If I can't run my Ukrainian jokes, you can't have yours, all right?
What about you, Louise?
Okay, so what I have is a Petaluma Piccadilly Valley 2020 Chardonnay.
That we had like 4 weeks ago.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, 100%. I bought it.
We had that.
Not this vintage.
100%.
No.
100%.
No.
We're gonna find it. That's all right.
It rates high. It rates high. It's the most expensive wine Liquorland have, and I think it's a 4.2 or a 3.
I don't think it was 2020, but anyway. So South Australia, obviously. So apparently, encountered a warm and dry spring in 2019. So the warmer than average weather continued through to the summer. But look, basically, their overall yield was 60% lower than normal. And if we've had it, you guys should know this. But the Chardonnay fermented in the new French oak barrels and matured on yeast lees, and for 7 months. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really love Chardonnay, but Cam seems to love it. And since I've been on here, I've experimented with it a few times. So
I have a bit of experimentation. Next time, try experimenting with something we haven't experimented with before.
Well, I'm sure we haven't.
Hey, don't start yet. All right? I haven't.
I'm being nice. I'm being nice.
So I've got the M&J Becker Wines, which is Hunter Valley House. Megan and James, these people actually don't really grow their grapes there. What they do is that they do take grapes from wherever they can get. But then where they really master or they try to master is to make the best wine out of those grapes they get. And they get it from 2 places, either around the Hunter Valley, sometime a bit further, or from California. And they also make spirits.
Bendigo.
You ever go to Roche, the estates there, Roche Estates, their house is there. Real good service when it comes to trying the wine. But really, you're tasting stuff that you go and hold on. This is not from here. And they actually blend sometimes a little bit of overseas grapes with here. It's just amazing what they're doing.
Yeah, well,
Try
that's
that. So let's try a wine. And let's dig
Oh,
into
Lou, man, you actually put some effort in this week, and you we literally had it a month ago, I reckon.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
cheers. It's actually really nice.
That's good too.
Lovely. How's yours, Chris?
Pretty good, actually. Hasn't got a lot of legs to it, but it's drinkable.
Yeah.
Listen, every single time you talk about a bad wine, I still remember the one that Cam brought, which is the wine that's got no wine in it. And that was the most disgusting thing I've ever had.
That was one of the greatest moments we've ever had on this podcast, mate. We couldn't get up off the floor.
So much fun. I reckon I caught COVID from that day onwards and still not gone.
I think I started something though now, because you go into bottle shops now and there's like 18 different zero alcohol wines there. I've started something.
That was good engine coolant though.
That hasn't made me try again. Chris, it's good to have you back, mate. I was a bit worried about you last week, but you're back full of beans, mate. You're
out
recovered.
of the COVID lockdown, mate. Out of the COVID.
Recovered from that
COVID
horrible
cold.
disease. It's killed 0.0000001% of people who get it, mate. That must have been scary for you at stages.
Right.
China's
How
got
many
the shit
whales?
going on,
How many whales have we killed with masks and rat tests? Do you reckon so far? I'm fucking serious, mate. They're now making us throw them all out. You don't need them, and as of tomorrow, the masks end. So poor Free Willy. Free Willy's been locked up his whole life. He finally gets out. He's going to die because a face mask going to choke him to death.
All right. Come on, let's talk
about something more positive, like the war. Hey?
No, let's move on from the war, because I think we don't know as yet. We predicted stuff, we talked stuff, and we said, well, it's a chess game. Now it's another chess moment. It's not for war, but we don't know.
Tell that to the people that are in it.
Kiev is getting like bombed somewhere around, and apparently they are far away from it. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into our subject for the week. Louise, you want to introduce the subject?
Yeah, sure. So our subject this week, we were talking about the people, obviously the last few weeks been talking about the awards, and obviously there's people that walked away that didn't win the awards. So we came up with the topic of, can people change their ways? And if they can, what does it take to change their ways? So it's a pretty good topic. It's a deep topic, and I've certainly delved into it this week. So as I'm sure you guys have, interesting to hear what you guys have to say as well.
Yeah, the topic was chosen mainly because of this. Right after the Wiseberry Awards night, many people vouched for next year. Many people sat next to their spouse, and their spouse were so inspired by the night, and many people actually loved the electric show that Vernix chosen. And I don't know, maybe they felt the electricity is still going, but they decided, I'm going to do whatever I can to really win next year, right? The question is, isn't it the same thing as people who commit to New Year's resolution?
Stole my only line. I only have one line. You just
and then don't get this. So this is a subject to open. Do people really change?
Some do, some don't. Some people will never change. Yeah,
that's not a response. All right. So
it is. The question was, do people change? It's not a yes/no answer.
How do they change, and what do they do to change? That's to me.
I think the
that's
biggest
not the question you asked.
I think the biggest thing for anyone to change is there's got to be one of two things. Unfortunately, majority of the time for any big change, it comes after big pain. So large amounts of pain, hurt, suffering, whatever it may be, usually takes a lot of people to change. There's a saying that says, if you want someone to not to change, don't hurt them. And it goes for partnerships as well. People might get married, and after years of abuse and so forth, there's a tolerance people can take, and then they change and they want to go their own separate ways, right? So I think people can definitely change. Unfortunately, the majority of the time it comes from a major issue in their lives, whatever it may be, a death of a loved one, a disease that they've had to go through, a bankruptcy, whatever that may be. And then some people change for the gain of pleasure. I mean, we all do things in our lives for either one or the other, right? The gain of pleasure or the avoidance of pain. And I think some people may change on the small side for the gain of pleasure. But I think the majority of people, large change, everlasting change will come from people having a huge revelation in life.
When was the awards night? 2 weeks ago?
12th of Feb. Yeah.
Still getting over the hangover. How many people have gone back to doing exactly what they were doing before the awards night?
The majority of them.
Probably a fair call. It's anecdotal, right? We don't know, but and to steal Thomas's analogy, who stole mine, it's no different to a New Year's resolution. It's no different to going and seeing Tony Robbins or going to see any rah-rah speaker and getting pumped up for 24 hours or 48 hours. But having the inspiration's one thing. Having the process to go about change is the other, and then having a real reason to do it is another. I mean, if your only reason for change is to get a trophy on awards night, then the chances of that sustaining you through 12 months of hard slog is slim, right?
Yeah.
So as good as and as deadly as the awards are, that's not a reason for change. So the majority of people, while they leave an awards night super pumped, give it a week, give it time for the euphoria to sit down, especially depending on what environment they're going back into. If you're going back into people who aren't inspired or aren't on the same wavelengths, it's going to be very quick to be business as usual, I feel.
Yeah, I think anybody can change. And I think the reason why, because I disagree with what you said, Cam, earlier, where you said some people do change and some people don't. I think some people choose to change and some people don't change. I guess the thing is with people, why people have so much discomfort in changing is because it threatens our identity and our sense of self. And I think the three things that, well, if you look at what shapes us as human beings, it's our genetics, it's our environment, and it's our experiences that we go through life that shape us. But then we have our in-between qualities of a person, which is like our self-belief system, I suppose. And I guess it's not so much changing your personality, because I think our personalities are who we are, but it's about changing the underlying traits that we have, which is our self-belief system and how we think about things. I'm reading an awesome book at the moment, Think Again, Adam Grant, and it says it's not about learning to think more, it's about learning to change the way we think. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big part of the process as well.
But isn't that the most difficult part that you're talking about?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's one thing to change the brand of a coffee that you're drinking. It's a very, very different thing to say, well, now I've got 1 year to really change my entire way of thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, I work with people who say to me, I want to change, and they 8 years down the road, they're exactly the same. They're doing exactly the same thing. They vouch to do this, to do that. They vouch not to do this and do that anymore. It starts like this at the beginning, and then they're exactly the same.
It's the difference between want and need, right? So,
right, yeah.
The amount of people who say, I want to change, probably don't understand or don't fully accept that they need to change. Deep down, they think they're okay the way they are. And yes, well, it's all well and good to be, you could do this and you could do that, and if you just change this, you'd be okay. Deep down, those people are thinking, oh, yeah, that'd be nice if I could, but do I need to, right? And until you understand the need for it, depending on what the change is, are we talking about change or are we talking about improving ourselves? Change is doing something different, right?
Yeah.
Completely different. Improving on what you've already got is a different, I don't think that's changing. That's working towards being better, but difference between want and need. Now, a lot of people, those 8-year people, those 10-year people that have been doing the same thing day out and then come out of every session saying, oh, I want to change, still don't think they need it. Because if you really thought you needed it, you'd do it.
Yeah.
I remember having a conversation with my brother-in-law once, and it was around Christmas time, and he said, oh, I'm smoking this week and then I'm quitting next week. I think it was around New Year's. And I said, well, why are you quitting? He said, for my kids. I said, no, you're not. He goes, excuse me? I said, he goes, yeah, I'm doing it for my kids. I've got to live a long life and this and that. I said, if you're doing it for your kids, you would have done it years ago. So you're not doing it for your kids. So let's squash that down dead. So it was a false. And sure enough, he's still smoking, right? So it's working out whether accepting that you need it and then going about doing it. Wanting it isn't enough. It's probably the long way.
Well, you're right, mate. You're right. There's a book that I've finished reading not long ago, Atomic Habits, and it's about the small daily habits that you've got to implement for that change. And if you want to change, you can't go, right, I'm not going to drink a bottle of red a night. You've got to change the habits. You've got to make it harder to get the wine, or you've got to put a different, connection to that.
But if you don't think
to get a bottle of wine out of can, but
if you don't think you need to stop it, that's the point. Like you pick up a book like Atomic Habits once you realise that you actually need to change what you're doing. I picked that up at the end of last year. I'm still not past page 4. I got to the Valley of Latent Potential. Yeah, I remembered.
Yeah.
To talk about your habits, Chris, I really vouch, not to drink more. So I bought a fridge with a key on it. Unfortunately, I can't find the key now, so I can't lock it. That's a difficult thing.
Yeah, but I think it's like what we say. The teacher will appear when the student's ready. I think change is as much as exactly like that. We don't change until we're ready to change, because again, change requires a different part of us to come to the surface. And a lot of people, they would rather stick with what they know than go through the pain of what they don't know.
Maybe I disagree with you there, because sometimes you don't have to be ready to change. I didn't care. I mean, if you listen to some of our podcasts, even it was before your time, Lou, where I thought, wait and the whole lot. I'm here to keep my joint until I'm old, so that my joints are brand new. I tell you what, when I experienced some of those health issues, it was no longer, am I ready to do this? I have to do this.
Yeah.
There's got to be a catalyst, and the catalyst can't be a trophy on awards night. That's the point.
Oh.
Catalyst is, like I said before, is the pain.
Exactly.
So the pain and then the fear, and it's that fear of what is my health going to be in 12 months, 2 years, 10 years. Will I be here in that time if I don't change my ways today? And what's going to change is those small habits. And
why does it have to? Why does pain have to be the catalyst though? Why are we
because
so?
The majority
I know it is, but why are we so?
Okay, so this is what I think.
Why are we so stupid as humans that we can't go? We can't go, shit, this is going all right. Imagine if I change this and this would go even better. Why do we have to wait till we're
Because it's actually in our DNA. It's in our DNA, Ken. From the time when we were cavemen, we would go down to a watering hole to drink or gather food or whatever, and a freaking big saber-toothed tiger would jump over the side and eat someone. We would remember, don't go to that watering hole at this time. So the fear of being eaten stopped us, right? So as humans, fear is a bigger trigger for us than pleasure. It simply is.
I think there's two kinds of change as well, though. There's the change, like what we're saying, how do we change to win an award next year? How do we change to stop drinking? How do we change to stop smoking? Well, there's that kind of change. But then there's the change that comes suddenly, the loss of a loved one, a marriage breakdown, losing your job, COVID, war, like God knows. Then there's the changes that we have no control over that happen, that rattle us to our core, and that puts us on a different path. And I think, we've got the three things that we're born with a clean slate. Obviously, we're born not knowing anything, but we learn from our nature and our environment and our genetics of how our belief systems and our coping strategies. And I think that's the thing, like we can't change our DNA. We can't change how we were, the environment in which we were born. We can change our environment now, but we got to, changing requires obviously strength, but it's changing sometimes. If it's like, if we're thinking about like belief systems, for example, if we've all thought for our whole life that, I don't know, like a scenario, like we believe something this, like, for example, let's talk politics. I've grown up with a family that have always gone one way, like let's say Labor in this instance. They've all thought Labor, grown up and gone, oh, okay, well, that's what I need to do then. changing our beliefs and our belief systems and our coping strategies. I think that's two kinds of change.
There is.
I still want to. I'm booing because you're bloody Labor Supporters Union.
Oh, no, I didn't say I was a
How
Labor.
they go on the trains this week? How'd the trains go this week for everybody? Good.
You obviously don't listen.
I still want to talk around the idea further of why pain has to be the catalyst. Why can't let's simplify it, right? We can look at someone and go, shit, they're fit and healthy. I wouldn't mind being like that. That's not using pain as a catalyst. That's using something positive as a catalyst. Or we can wait till that person has a stroke and then go, oh shit, now I want to be fit and healthy. That doesn't make sense to me, right? We're using pain as a catalyst. We in a real estate sense, we can look at someone who's doing $200,000 a quarter, and we can go, shit, I wouldn't mind some of that action. There's a positive catalyst for change. Or we can wait until we've made no money, we're about to get sacked or we're about to go bankrupt, and then go, oh shit, I'd need to do $200,000 a quarter. Why aren't more people just looking at something going, yeah, I wouldn't mind a piece of that? Why is it pain? I get the bit about the lion eating a person down at the waterhole, but it doesn't explain to me why we have to wait until we're hurt or someone around us is hurt before we do something. And I'm guilty as charged in some instances. Like my health is the same. I had to get. I'm only just now starting to do something about it after pretending to want to do something about it for 4 or 5 years, and I don't know what the catalyst has been for that, but it definitely wasn't a positive one, right? I'm a mess.
Yeah, but you again, what you say exactly what we're saying is you have to wait until you have to, and that's what most people do. Cam. Most people.
Yeah, but I want to know why. I want to know why.
Wait until I finish. Wait. So that most people will wait until they have to. Right? Nobody, because it's too much effort. I've seen these guys that are built like Reese from Charm Heaven, and I'm looking at him. I'm going, nah, that's too much hard work, man. Right? I'm not gonna go there. I don't need that. If I have less fat, I'll be fine. I don't need those kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of muscles. But then I'm just thinking, is it possible then that when someone looks at a top performer, a top manager, for example, and they go, yeah, I like what he does, but I'm not him. I'm happy with what I have. So they're justifying their own circumstance, because deep inside the program is, I'm not ready to pay that kind of price to be like that. So I don't know. Can you had to wait until you probably felt like something about your health, and then you start doing it. So you're driven by that too.
I said, I know. I'm guilty as charged.
So you can't really discuss the fact that the limbic brain is the first part where signals come in. And only if it goes through the limbic brain, now the neocortex can start thinking about it. Until it goes through the reptilian brain, which is doing everything in automation anyway, the limbic brain stops a lot of people doing that. This is why current affairs is so famous. They talk crap on current affair, and most people are listening to it because they go, it can only be like good information while I'm cooking. It's garbage.
Yeah,
it's the biggest load of garbage on the planet.
So then how can we change that then? Because it's got to change, right?
This is our second part. So the first thing to think about change is, what can we change? The war what's happening now in Ukraine and Russia, fuel's going up already. It means that the price of commodities, food, and everything is going to go up. It means that an inspection with a buyer now is not going to cost us what it's going to cost. It probably an inspection with a buyer in terms of fuel and car, it's probably going to cost an extra 25% soon. So now maybe that creates so much pain that we're going to qualify a bit more as when we qualify buyers. And then we have to go and buy food. And I feel for the people who are on a fixed pay, because they had $500, but now it's $500 when cost is going to rise plus 10%. So their $500 is going to be worth just $450. Then they're going to have pain. And you know what's going to happen then? Then they're going to be open to jobs that pay better. So that's change that you can't control. I think first thing we need to do is to focus on the change we can control.
Yeah.
Is there a way, though, we can change that mindset of having to wait for pain before we change? That's what I meant. How do we change that bit?
Not gonna happen. Yeah, this is why
For ourselves,
this
for
is what's
individuals.
happened.
Don't worry
Right.
about everyone else. Everyone else
Okay,
who's
I'm
listening.
gonna start with the first one, and hopefully you guys will latch onto it. I think that the first thing we need to do is to really think. Instead of trying to change 100% in one area, just change 1% in 100 areas.
Yeah.
Because that is much easier to try and change 1% in all of these little things that we need to be doing, because we'll be successful very quickly. And the funny thing in our head is it's also a routine. When we're successful at doing this now, we're successful at doing that and that. Like, for example, every day, I can't go by without riding my bicycle now every day, because that success got me hooked. And now I have to. Whether it is at 4 a.m, whether it is at night, it doesn't matter. I have to have it. I can't go without doing those exercises that Robert showed me. It's part of the deal. So why? Because and this is a good example. Robert, when he first started exercise with me, he said, just do 10 squats. Next week, we'll do 20. Then following week, 30. And now I'm doing 50, right? So, but the first week when I did 10, man, I was over the moon. The first week when I had to do 10 sit-ups, it took me 3 goes because I had to do 4, 3, 3. And now I can do 25 in one set. So,
Absolutely.
but when you achieve that 10, you went, wow, this is good. I can. And that is what I call the 1% in 100 areas.
If I change 1% of my 100 kilos, I've lost 10 kilos. There you go. Look at that. Each kilo I lose 100 grams off. We're good. We're great. I'll still be 20 kilos overweight. But that goes back to what Chris.
What's your tip?
Who you pointing at?
Point at you, Ken.
That was my tip that you spoke about. So what's your tip, Ken? Haven't done too much thinking.
Come back to me. Oh, well.
Okay, haven't done too much thinking.
No, but I can't. You can't quantify it into a.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can leave the podcast now.
See you later. Bye.
James come up with crap for the week.
So it's not a tip, Rod. It's.
All right, we come
I
back
look
to
at it
you.
as an overall. No, but it's an overall, and that's what I was trying to ask. How do we change that feeling of pain to pleasure? Because when I look at work, for example, I don't have to wait till I'm struggling to go to work and work hard because I enjoy the benefits of, which is what you're talking about, the success. So I can't quantify it in tips and break it down right this second, but it's just an overall feeling. It's an overall thing you have to have in you where you just have to have some go. If you want to change, just fucking do it. And I've done so well. I hadn't sworn until now, but.
That's not true. That's your second one. I've been counting. You said it.
No, I haven't sworn. I haven't said it on the podcast.
What are we betting?
I'll bet whatever.
The F word earlier. What are we betting?
On the actual live podcast or when you started recording?
Yes. We're betting $1,000.
I'll bet you
per
100.
person.
I bet you
per person. Okay, 100
of grains.
per person.
I bet you, Luang, $100
Yeah.
All right, I take it. You've lost
that
it.
I haven't said fire truck since we started the live podcast.
Yeah, you said that.
Crystal's yelling out no,
Chris.
so Crystal's yelling out no, so maybe I have.
No.
Yeah.
But that's just, I think the tip is you can't wait. There's no point waiting, right? Like I said to my brother-in-law, if you really wanted to quit, you would have quit 6 months ago. There is no waiting for awards night to get inspired or waiting for the book you read to start making a change. You got to start somewhere. Stop getting ready to get ready.
Cam, that is not a tip because you telling people and you can't wait and they go, well, I'm not waiting. I'm starting next year. I'm waiting. I'm getting ready. This is going to, seriously, man, this is what
I said, stop getting ready to get ready. Stop it.
Give them a tip so they can start now. Mine's very simple. Just find 100 areas where you need to improve in sales, listing. So what
Mate,
about,
we're talking about
if
people
if
that
I'm
don't think.
prospecting, just if I was used to do 30, I just going to do 33.
Yeah, all right. You just poo-pooed. Hey, you just poo-pooed me. I'm going to poo-poo you. Most of the people that don't change. Hey, most of the people.
Hey, listen, don't interrupt me. You can try to poo-poo me, and then we see equivalent of the Russian war happening, man.
That's good, mate. Because
No,
most of the people,
shit. Seriously.
most of the people who don't change. How is someone who doesn't think they need to change going to come up with 100 things they want to change? They don't think they need to change anything.
But that's why we
come up with one.
That's why we're saying we're saying give them a tip. All right.
Right.
So,
Well, my tip is don't listen to TL because 100's too many. Find one thing and start with that, and then add another thing.
All right. That's a bad tip. What about you, Chris?
My first tip was start looking to take away any excuse that you've got.
It's a good
Start
one.
looking or just take away. Here's the thing: you're getting ready to get ready.
You've got to find those. You've got to find what you're using excuses. That's what I'm saying. You've got to find what you use an excuse. I used to use my family, and then Thomas goes, go and ask him for permission.
Yeah.
So I did. It's simple. Because you haven't got your gym gear ready. Get it ready the night before. Start taking away your excuses. The exercise bike is too far away from the office. Put it in the office. Take away excuses.
Yeah.
So my first thing would be take away your fucking excuses. Yes, I swore.
Your first thing, the first thing is the first word you kept using, Chris, which is same as mine. Start.
Yeah.
Start.
But I like what he's done. So he's taking away the excuse. I think that's a bloody nice one.
Great
Good
tip,
one.
Chris.
Well done, Chris.
Everyone write down 100 excuses.
So we got
and take
yours. We got yours, Cam, which is like start straight away. All right. I think that take away excuse is a good one. What's another one, Lou? And then afterwards, like whoever's got idea can come up with.
Well, I think I need to sort of break it down into 4 different things, to be honest.
One tip, Lou.
No. Why does it have to be one thing? Why does it have to be
Because that's what he asked for.
No, he
He said, give me one and then we can go into more if you need to.
He said,
Oh, we love you, Lou. Love the hairdo. Come on, tell us.
You did your hair again.
Okay. I think, okay, the first thing is I think we need to learn new habits, okay? Because I think we all are stuck in our old habits a lot of the time. You know, as simple as a small habit. I encourage my team, 1 page, 1 line, 1 podcast, be it 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You know, I think that's an important thing because you just start small. In terms of what Thomas is saying, the 1% over 100, I just try and say adapt one new thing and do it really well.
Yeah, Thomas's tip was rubbish.
I think challenge your self-beliefs. I think that's another big one. You have to challenge your self-beliefs. You can't just go with what you know because that's what you've been brought up to be told. I think that's really important as well. You got to focus on your efforts. You can't say I'm doing a great job.
Bring tips, Lou.
Yeah,
But you keep on going. I'm happy.
you'll get 100, mate. There'll be 100.
I'm happy.
I'm not giving you 4. And you got to focus on your on your efforts. I think, you know, we can all say that we're busy or we can all say that we're having a go, but are we having a go? And I think that's the difference. And the other one is, if you really want to change, start acting the bloody part. You know, I think we talked about it in our, Thomas came up and trained Tari, Macquarie and Foster the other day. And one of the things he left the team saying is, you know, if you're not the person you want to be, start acting the person you want to be, because naturally your body and your mind will take over, you know, acting that way. So I think that's my 4 tips broken down into 1.
Act as if. Act as
Yeah,
if.
love it.
Act as if is one of the success principles by Jack Canfield, and Brendan Burkhardt put it in his latest, he's one of his last books too. If you're not there yet, act as if you already are, because eventually you become
Did you make it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Here's my next one. If you really want to have, listen, winning the award, like Cam says, may not be nothing, but it is a symbol that it is a recognition that your peers have seen in you a whole set of habits that defines a champion.
To work out why you won.
So when it's happening like this, one of the things that I would do is go and find the champion. Sit down with them, shout them a lunch if need be, and ask them your list of questions. Once you have that, go and do that. Because if I find someone who's got a recipe for making gingerbread, and I'm not a pastry cook, but I believe that if I followed word for word what he's telling me to do, I would get the same gingerbread. And so I think that's what we need to be doing. So here's another tip. Mirror someone successful, someone who's done it.
Success leaves clues, yeah?
Yeah.
I think
Is that your tip?
No. That was I was just chopping down. I was just chopping down your diatribe into bloody 4 words, mate. You could have saved us a lot of airtime. Success leaves clues. I think it's a bit. it's not really a contradiction, but we talk about mastermind groups all the time and finding people who can do what you've done. So
Love it.
association is key. No, but that's not my point. It's
Still
actually
good.
it's actually contradicting my point, because my point is, and it's a line Thomas uses a lot, if it is to be, it's up to who?
Me.
It's up to me. You're on your own, guys. You can't wait for someone to do this shit for you. If you want to change, it's got to come from within first and foremost. And if you're waiting for someone to do it for you, or you're not going to win that. Now, a mastermind group is part of doing it yourself, is to go out and find your mentors and look for people who are successful and do all that stuff. But association is a huge part of it, but it starts with you and it ends with you. If it doesn't work, it's no one else's fault but your own. And if it does work, guess what the best part is? That's yours, right?
Yeah.
So you can celebrate that. You got to accept your losses. And that's why, people look at me as I've got an ego, I know that, but I celebrate my wins harder than any. I celebrate my wins so friggin' hard. You know why I celebrate them so hard? Because no one's harder on himself when I lose than me.
Yeah.
Because I take all the responsibility for all my losses. But you know what? I'm sure as shit going to take all the responsibility for all my wins, because you can't have it both ways. You can't take credit for everything good in your life and then blame someone else for everything bad in your life. The world don't work like that.
I think going back, Cam, to what you were saying before, why does it take pain and all the rest of it? I don't think it's so much that it takes pain. I think because change requires such strength, like internal strength, sometimes I think that's a difference there. It's like we were talking about New Year's resolutions. Most people fail because it's a hope. It's a hope of what I want to lose weight. I want to give up smoking or this or this. It's a hope to want to do, but they're not willing to pay the price. And I think that's
TL said it's a refusal to pay the price. I'm not running a marathon because fuck training to run 26 kilometers. And that's the third time I've sworn TL, so that's fine.
That's right. But but that's the thing. I think some people are either willing to pay the price or they're not. And I don't think there's no one out there that's not willing to pay the price, but it sometimes, unfortunately, takes an event in life before they're ready.
There's heaps of people willing not to pay the price, mate. Look at the work we're in. We've all been there.
Those people may come to a point in their lives where they will change overnight.
Well, I guess our
definition.
Isn't
it what Louise is trying to say, that you need to be willing to pay the price? She said you have to be willing to.
She said, I don't think there's anyone out there who's not willing to pay the price. I disagree. I think there's 100% people out there.
And people have a hope, but when it's the change that you really, really require, be it for health reasons, family reasons, work reasons, award reasons, whatever, when you want it as bad as you want to breathe, you'll change. You'll pay the price.
But that people drink themselves to death every day, Lou. So there's people out there not willing to pay the price.
But that's
And the price of them dying is not big for them.
That's right.
And the price of the consequence on their family is not big for them, and all that sort of stuff.
They have such little self-worth and care for everybody else that has left their brain years ago.
I was about to say, we're all in an industry, right, where we know that there's people out there who won't pay the price. We've been to houses that are diabolical. We've had to sell houses in situations that are absolutely, like from our point of view or from our perspective, how could you do this? How could you live like this? How could you allow this to happen? Yeah. So there are 100% people out there not willing to pay the price, and they're the people that, there's people, TL's had the same conversations with the same people for 15 years, and some people just aren't willing to pay the price, mate.
I think that comes down to a lot of people's different values at the time as well. So, when they go through those sort of points in life. My next tip would be, in Australia, we have a saying is that, tall poppy syndrome, that, people who stick their head above the crowd get pulled back in or chopped down. And unfortunately, I
suffer it every day, mate. Every day.
I think a lot of people would rather fail with company than excel by themselves. I think sometimes people are a little bit, I don't know if embarrassed or shy or whatever the word is, to actually excel because of their fear of losing what's around them, losing family, friends, and so forth. If that's the case, I'd say to those people, if that is the case, those people who don't want you to succeed shouldn't be your friends to start with. And those who do want you to succeed, you need to find out those people and get them to support you on your journey.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the association, right? But they're going to have to be active, right?
Absolutely.
You really have to be active. There are people that I love to bits, but I would not hang around them, right? And there were people who were very much not supportive of me, very close to me back in my younger days, but I made the decision the day the day I'm successful, I will come back. And you have a look at some of the things, people say, Thomas, you're hard on Cam. That's because I seen Cam more than what Cam sees in him. And when people say, oh, you were hard on her, I keep on telling them, you don't believe it. Go and check. His business, his entire life has changed 2000% since he's been around me at this level of our partnership, right? Why? Because he goes left, that is wrong, I'll tell him. And sometimes I tell him, he doesn't call me back for 3 days because like a battered dog, he goes into hiding.
Okay. 4.
Yeah, okay. So you're close to your allowance, brother. So, but you know
Have
what?
we lost any listeners yet? That's all I want to know.
But you know what? When I have a look, as a father, I see his improvement. As a husband, I see his improvement. That's my 2 most important things. As a businessman, I don't care because that's just the game. Business is just the game. You get listing, you sell. You don't have listing, you don't sell. That's how it works, right? So the key is what do we do to get listing? But the rest of the game of life, that's so much harder because I've seen guys who get a lot of listings and then their kids commit suicide. I've seen guys who make zillions of dollars a year and their wife leaves them for somebody who actually treasure them a bit more and give them more time. So you see all that stuff. So to grow in all aspects of life like this, association is critical. And don't hang around people who tell you stuff. And when you look at their results, it's not right. So here's my tip. Before someone gives you a piece of advice, ask them, show me your bank account. I'll show you my bank account. If yours is bigger than mine, I'll listen to your advice when it comes to business because you obviously know how to make it run. The same thing as if someone has got a beautiful child or beautiful children, you don't have to ask them. What you need to do is go to them and then ask them to tell you how to have children like this. So what we need to do is taste the gingerbread cake first and then decide whether that's a person that you want to follow the recipe from or of.
Once you decide though that you're going to eat the gingerbread man, you have to eat the whole gingerbread man, right? You can't just take the bits of it that you like. You can't just pick the Smarties out of the eyes and not deal with the bitter taste of the other stuff.
No, you're talking about you have to follow the full recipe. You can't follow the recipe you like.
I'm saying eat the whole cake. You can't just eat the bits you like. And if
I don't like ginger, so I won't put any ginger in my bread.
There's something very, very wrong with me because for the one compliment I get every now and again, like TL just sort of gave, there's 15 kickings, right? So there's a few sour bits of fruit and then there's a lot of stuff that's got to be swallowed. You can't just search for the advice that suits you because that's not change, right? You can't look for association for people who back up where you are in life because that's not change either. Yeah, you were right. He was hard on you. If I went around looking for people to say that TL was hard on me, I'd find 50 of them, right? That isn't going to help shit, is it? It's not going to help my kids. It's not going to help my bank balance. It's not going to help anything else. So, and that's a trap we fall into. I get sent a lot of people who, when, people are struggling at work, they'll say, call Cam, he'll tell you what to do. And because what I tell them to do is go to work, the amount of people who call me back is very, very slim, right? No, there's been a couple. Some people last.
They want that magic.
No, that's it. They
that magic wand.
They want the bit that's going to help them. They want a pat on the back and say, "Oh, don't worry, you shouldn't have to do those numbers, and don't worry, you can keep eating whatever you want, and no one can fat shame you." Right? I was a personal trainer too, so I've dealt with all that where people, it's never their fault that they weigh 50 kilos more than they should. And no one how dare you call someone fat? If you're fat, you're going to die early. You're going to have a heap of health issues. It's not fat shaming. It's just who you are and what you need to change.
I never ate anything by accident.
Hey?
I never ate anything by accident.
No, that's the world we're going. So that's my next piece of advice is if you're going to dip your finger in the cake, you got to eat the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was reading a thing during the week, and we all know Steve Jobs, and we know his position with Apple and everything else. And the article, I know he's dead, Cam. Like, I'm not an idiot, but I know he's dead. But for God's sake,
his position with Apple is under a tree.
The article was about the fact that he was ousted from his own company. Now you think about that. And why was he ousted from his own company? Seems like you know everything, Cam. Do you know that answer?
I didn't know everything. I just know the bloke's dead. You said we all know his position in the company. Well, it's under an apple tree. That's
Okay, so he was ousted from his own company because of his management style. Okay, now, and as we know, because Cam's just told us, he's dead. But one of the things that he said about it was he didn't necessarily want to change, but in that moment, he realized that he had to change. He needed to change because of what it cost him. And I think, you know, there's good change and there's change that, like we've spoken about, that's sudden and we don't expect it, but then there's change that we want, like change that we want for ourselves. And I think the change that we want for ourselves, like if it's to do with health, then we'll pretty much do anything for our health. If it's to change for something for our children, there's not really many people that I know that wouldn't change if it was to the benefit of their children or something like that. But if it requires change that requires a different level of yourself or a different you know, belief system or something, then that's the harder change. I think that's the harder change. And I think that's where, you know.
I think you're being too kind on people, Lou. Again.
What do you mean? Why though?
Well, before you said that, I don't know, we all know that there isn't anyone who wouldn't pay the price for change. And then you just said everyone would change for their children. There's so many.
I don't think there's.
And I know you're not that person. We can't fathom not changing for our kids, right? But
not a person that wouldn't change, but there's people that don't have the capabilities to change. I know there's plenty of people that I know would like to change, but they don't even know where to start.
I know a shitload of people who won't change, regardless of their kids, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, do you really think that they won't change? That's the thing.
Yes.
Lou, I ask you this: if those people,
they usually end up killing them.
The people that you know that don't know where to start, do you honestly believe if they were led to where the start line, they will run the race?
I think
horse to water, thirst.
What was on the line they would.
I think you'll find a way. I think you'll find a way. I mean, if you're really driven to do something, you will find a way. And whether that's through association in real life or books, whether it's through doing it yourself the hard way or whatever it may be, I think if there's a will, there's a way.
That's right.
Nelson Mandela, though, mate, we can't. There's no one's circumstances are bad enough that they can't change if they don't want to. No one's, none, and no one.
It comes down. What I'm saying is, I think. Okay, so what I'm saying is, some people have the courage to face their fears, and some people don't. And in the face of adversity, some people go into fight or flight mode, as we know, and when I say that some people just don't have the capabilities, it's not that they don't want to, they just don't know what to do. And I think that's the difference as well. Like, I don't know how to explain it to the point I'm trying to make, but I think there's not a person who wouldn't change if they knew how to change.
I disagree.
Well, that's fine. You're allowed to disagree.
Yeah, and it's not even a bet. Like, I'm not trying to fight with you, Lou, but there's bad people in the world. There's people who don't want to change. There's people who had kids accidentally and blame the kids for everything that's wrong with their life. There's people who throw their kids off a bridge there because there's people who leave their kids in a car to go and play the poker machines, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but we're talking about events, Cam. We're talking.
Yeah, I know, and they're people who won't change regardless of their kids.
But if they got up every day and left their kid in the car to play pokies, and then we're talking about an everyday event. We're not. We're
talking about people who want to change and don't.
No, but we're not like if someone left their kid in the car to play pokies, unless they got 100 million kids, they're not doing that every day.
Fucking oath they are. I'm going to swear. Fucking oath they are. They don't just do it one day a week. They're willing to leave their kid in a car on a 50-degree day to go and play the pokey. They're not doing that once in their life. They're doing it until...
I'm not talking... Okay, you can look at that as a change, but, you know, like, seriously, you can't use that as a decent example. I'm talking about change to be a better person, to be a healthier person.
Not leaving your kid in a car while you play the pokies would be a fairly significant change towards being a better person.
I don't know why you feel the need to yell, because we can all hear you.
I'm standing away from the microphone.
No, you're sitting right in goddamn front of it. But the thing is, I think we're talking about an overall change. We're not talking about a single event.
You got your popcorn ready?
Yeah, there's going to be a roast.
Looks like the movie's starting, but the movie's about to start.
So basically, yeah.
The Jeff is here. He's joining us.
Hey,
He's joining us. He's found like 5 minutes of spare time to join a bunch of idiots here. Hi, the Jeff. How you doing?
you're on mute, Jeff.
Hi, how is everybody?
Hi,
Hey,
Jeff.
mate.
How you doing, mate?
Really well, really well. I was just about to say, Cam's changed, but then all of a sudden he just got back to his usual self.
That's to yell.
Yeah, and
That's Jeff way of saying people don't change. People like Cam want change.
That's very true. What a auspicious night it was 2 weeks ago. What a great night. Man, that place was pumping.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Where were you, Chris?
So some
in
people
in a self-centered, self-loathing.
Oh, Jeff's gone.
Oh,
Nice
bloody
to
Jeff
meet you.
rubbing the
He's
salt
gonna
in the
come back. He's
wound.
gonna come back.
Unbelievable.
Louise, you realise
before he comes back, I think that another piece of advice I have is we need to avoid distraction.
Yeah.
Focus.
Life gives us so many distractions, and people need to avoid it. It's okay to have a side business to do it. It's okay to go and do a little bit of restaurant work on the side, but in the end, you're taking very valuable time. What I think that you should do is, you can't have a gold mine, dig a bit of that gold mine and go, oh, I believe that there's another gold mine over there I need to go to. Whether you believe there's gold mine here, then keep digging, or if the other gold mine's better, go over there. But you can't just chop
Is
and change.
that a recipe for success, Thomas, or a tip to change? That sounds. If you were going to give someone a recipe for success, you would say you can't have a plan B, right?
No, what I'm trying to say is, if you want to make changes, don't listen to this and then listen to that. Once you listen to that piece of advice, keep on going.
Commit. Yeah.
You know? There's so many people, well, I want to do this, I want to change this. Oh, now I've got this opportunity. And then they're thinking about it. No, sow the seeds in your field.
Yeah.
Keep working your field. Yes, Sir Jeff, you're back.
I'm back. Computer problems. Too many high-tech things in front of me.
Yeah, that was an accident. I didn't mean to hit that button, mate. I promise.
No, but it was a very, very nice night, and full of very entrepreneurial people there.
Yeah, there actually a few people said to me, it only took me 15 seconds saying hello to him to realize who he exactly was. So some people just worked out who you were, the Jeff.
And some people still doesn't know, I don't think, even now.
You blew your cover, mate. Well done.
I know, well done. All right, so Jeff, what's your 5 minutes of wisdom on this podcast, mate?
Well, listen, I've listened to a couple of really interesting things and little tips and all that sort of thing. I was actually in a very large public entity company, and we were very, very big on quantitative indicators. And I haven't really heard very much quantitative indicators from anybody today, except maybe losing 10 kilos of weight. And I think, the whole thing about was, can we actually change, and how do we improve? And, management textbooks, and even going back to the 1800s, they would actually say that you've got to be able to measure everything.
Yeah.
And unless you can actually start to measure something, you can't actually improve upon it.
The reason we're not talking about that is that we're already measuring everything that we do, mate. The number of listing, number of sales, number of calls, everything's measured in our organizations. So for a lot of our people, I'm very sorry you didn't know that, but for a lot of our people, they know everything they do is calculated. They know the number of calls they get a yes. They know that if they call 50 people today, they get 1 yes. So they know that already. So if they want an appointment, they just have to do 50 calls.
Yeah.
Jeff's right in a sense that we never define what change is, because it's all right saying how do people change, or should they change, but how do you then define it? And then I guess he's right. How do you measure it? How do you measure being a better person? Am I a better person today than I was yesterday?
No. He's talking about KPI. He's talking about
I know.
KPIs, but also when you start to actually measure something quantifiably, you actually need to look at the qualitative thing. Why does that one salesperson who does the same number of calls as the other salesperson get a better response?
Goals.
That's what you're not measuring.
Because their name's Cam, not Jeff.
I think what Jeff's saying is that we can measure, but why one person does it better than the other is the other person perhaps has better goals or has a definitive purpose or a reason why they're doing what they're doing. Some people go through the motions with not really knowing what's driving them.
Yeah, not even that. I think in the activity he's talking about. So, for example, the activity we're telling them, Jeff. So we there's a lot of training on all of that. For example, if someone does 50 calls to get an appointment, another person does 100 to get an appointment. We know already the difference is you either doing it at the wrong time, or you are not doing it with the right mindset or the right words. Like if you're thinking about the argument you had with your wife, for sure, we know it's going to affect it. If you're using the wrong lines, we know it's going to affect it. And so, yeah, in all of our training, this is the thing that I ask our people, you know, you have to be training every day and see whether what you're doing is right. But then it comes down to numbers. That's a very good one, though, Jeff. What else? What else can you tell us that we've forgotten?
Well, I think they're some of the most important things. Training is what you've indicated as well. I think that's very important. Follow up. And I think also mirroring, going with a senior person to actually see exactly how and let them run calls. If you can actually see how a really smart operator runs a call, especially for the newbies, I think they're very key things, because I know that, you know, I might be okay with my endeavors in medical equipment, but when I actually come and look at real estate, while I'm experienced with one sort of sales approach, you actually have to look at what value proposition you're going to be giving to that person.
Yeah.
Whether it's the customer or whether it's the salesperson or whether it's a prospective buyer.
Yeah.
What about life though, Jeff? What wisdom have you got for life? I mean, we're talking about changing people's skill level in different things with real estate or sales, but we're
about the awards, man.
Hey?
We're talking about the awards, that's why we're there.
Yeah, that takes more than a skill change, right? It's not the awards aren't skill based essentially.
No.
They are fully skill based.
So what's your tip, Jeff? Someone's not happy with something in life and maybe it is not winning an award. What's the key to change?
I think we don't really understand why people actually go on a downward spiral. That's one of the things that I don't think we really understand. You know, you raised it last year. 20 people went off on Are You Okay Day, and they asked, are you okay? Interesting enough, you know, you should be doing that on a regular basis to understand the real meaning of it. So I don't think we understand people's responses enough to stress, traumas, social dilemmas, isolation, and so forth. I don't think we really understand a lot of that sort of stuff. I think that's one thing. I think, you know, you need to really communicate effectively.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's a very hard thing to change someone's personality or ethical framework or the way that they've been doing things, because I think, you know, I think you would have seen salespeople that would, or any operational people that come into your organization, and expressions can't teach an old dog new tricks. So, you know, they've learnt bad habits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much for your input this week, Jeff. We're going to keep you invisible so that next year when you're around, more people are going to look for you in the room, man. And you know what we're going to do next year? We probably move you around and put you on some tables so that they never, because they're going to come to a head office table this time.
I sat with a nice table, but unfortunately, there's radical, funny people on the table next to me.
Yeah, I know.
And they were singing all these stupid John Denver songs. I couldn't believe it.
I'm bringing the guitar to the next one, brother.
You need to bring the banjo. Bring the banjo.
There's no banjo in Country Road.
I'm thinking of Deliverance.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks, mate. Thanks,
Jeff.
Yeah.
All right, listen. So I think that he's made some bloody good points in it. I think that another one that I thought for is, which is semi what Chris has said. I think making a promise to a loved one is very good. I still remember the first awards night I went to, and when my wife said, "What do they have that's better than you?" And I said, "Nothing." And I said, "Watch me next year. That's where I'm going to be." I think that a promise to someone who means a lot to you, you just like, we'll do whatever it takes to just get there, because and I think that, you know, the person who is supportive of you should really say, "Remember, you made me a promise."
Accountability.
Every now and then they'll go, "Yeah, I told you I'm going to work hard, and that didn't work hard." And they go, "Now I'm feeling guilty. If I let you down one more time, right, that's going to be bad." And I think that needs to be part of it.
I hope I'm on a promise later, darling. No good.
He's got. So now I would like to address something that happened last week. We had the bully in the room, and then we had someone who left a little bit hurt. And so I thought, as a Yoda in the room, I would like to just address that issue. All right. So first of all, this podcast, for example, I know someone who's been really trying to make sure, like Paige Harrell was very much there to support Lou by saying, putting a lot of input, which is fantastic, Paige. But I think you might, Lou believes that maybe you owe her an apology for last week, Cam. Well, and you obviously don't believe that you owe Lou any apology.
No. You're going to put me on the spot.
Right, get the popcorn out, brother, because we now going to sit down.
No, there's no fight. I heard you were upset, Lou. I gathered by your WhatsApps you were upset. You're not the first person I've upset in life. You join a long list of people, but I'm the king of the fuck up, right? I've fucked up more than anybody ever, and I've done it in public. Yeah, we're counting the swear words. That's all right.
Yeah.
Hey? Just do it without it now.
And yeah, I cop it more than anyone when I do it. Last week wasn't about you copying it. Last week started off as a joke about a serious situation, though. I don't think what happened should have been taken lightly. And to be honest, after the initial joke, when I saw that there was I would have just said, yeah, I stuffed up and I broke someone's leg, right? And when I didn't see that one of those beautiful personality traits that I have, I just kept going, and that it didn't come. And your one, mate, you told me once when I was having a conversation off air about how hard it was for me to cop 3 days of a barrage from somebody about all the things I've done wrong in life, that, you've just got to deal with that. And there was no malice in it, and you've just got to grow from it. And sometimes the shoe's on the other foot, and then we've got to look at how we react to stuff. So I'm sorry that you felt the way you did.
Yeah, but Cam, I don't know that you were entirely listening, because I actually said in the podcast, and if everybody goes back and rewatches it, I actually said that I have apologized for my actions to Maria. And so I don't know, I didn't apologize a second time on the show. I'd apologize to the person who I hurt, and I feel terrible about that. And I made a point of apologizing to her. I didn't feel as though I needed to apologize on here again, because I actually wasn't thinking that the incident would have been brought up on here. But that's fine, and I respect that semi-apology that you just gave me, which is beautiful.
There's no apology, mate.
I said, okay, well, that's fine. Well, whatever you just gave me, I respect that.
Sorry you feel the way you feel, but that's not me apologizing for the way you feel, because you feel that way. That's a feeling that you're having.
So here's how I feel. And the reason why I was a little bit, let's say, pissed off last week is because
a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, like maybe just a little bit. But the reason, Cam, is and I don't, and this is, and as we say, this, we have a disclaimer, we don't take anything personal on here, and we're all friends and we all work for the same business, we all call us as a family, so there is no malice and there is no judgment and there is no whatever. But Cam, I think that you need to sometimes not use your voice in terms of the decibels to come across as the stronger person in the conversation and send your message, because you come across as nothing but a bully, and I'm not taking anything, I'm not being biased or sexist here, but I'm a female on here representing females and having a voice, and I don't appreciate being spoken over and talked down to. And every time I went to open my mouth last week, you cut me down. You cut me down and you spoke over the top of me. And yeah, I did wrong. I fucked up. I drank too much. I fell over on the dance floor and I broke someone's foot. I didn't go out on Saturday, the 12th of February to break someone's foot. I went out and had a good time and let my hair down with my team.
No one said you did.
Who had 12 nominations out of the 12 categories.
No one said you did.
No, but you did. You
Hands up. Hands up if I've spoken over you. Hands up if I've spoken over you or talked down to you on this podcast.
Spoken over.
You made a point last week.
You spoke over Louise quite a few times.
And no, but hands up if I've done it to everyone else. Hands up if I've done it to everyone else. Thomas, have I talked down to you and spoken over you, Chris?
I know that you speak to everybody, but you know
not down to, but over. Sorry, Lou. Over, but not down to.
And I'm not meaning, if I said down to, I didn't mean that, but I said.
No, I have spoken down to everybody, and it's one of my many quality personality flaws. But
yeah, but hold on, Lou. Just to, as I said to you, I think there was no malice, and I have not told him about today, and he just repeated there was no malice. And secondly, please don't use gender on this here, right? You might be one female, but you're very important because you saying that you're worth 3 men. But I'm gonna have to say this to you: you are not the only one over here to represent the female sex, right? We all know that Chris Zinola does it too. So we are 50-50 here. There's no.
I'm sorry. No,
I do represent the wicked sex. I mean the female side as well. I do represent.
Logic the bullshit.
I think, Cam, like, I'm going to take the moral high ground here. And I felt last week I was getting a little bit attacked for something that I did, not intentionally. It was an accident, and we've all made mistakes in our lives. And I guess part of me feeling attacked was because I felt so bad about it. And maybe my reaction was that, hang on a minute, why is he being such a bully? Why is he making a mockery out of me? I can't be the only one on this podcast that's made a mistake in life. And I appreciate it and I'll own it. And that's why I've apologized. But I felt as though I was made an example of, which wasn't really required on him.
Every single time anyone's ever stuffed up, and in relation to anyone on this podcast, they've all copped it. You're not special.
No,
right? No, you're not. No, here's the thing. A lot of people want to give it out. A lot of people can't take it. One of the reasons I alienate so many people is because I will say what I feel and I will stab everybody in the gut, and everyone is happy for it until it happens to them. Everyone is full of advice on how to deal with someone telling you how they really feel until it happens to them.
Yeah,
that is the problem. No, that is the problem that we face with all of it. Okay. Yes, I swear. I swear too much. I'm working on the swearing. I will never.
It's working. It's
I will never, ever stop telling people what I feel.
I don't even care about the swearing.
No, I don't care about the swearing either. But I will never stop telling people what I feel, Lou. I tell Chris.
And I tell people how I feel as well. And okay, if you really like, it wasn't just what it was, how you went about it last week, Cam. And look, I'm not going to name names, but I had people messaging me going, "Who is that guy? Why is he such an asshole?"
I'm more than welcome. 0410
Let me clarify.
Call me. Ask me why.
They mean.
Call me.
They mean.
Call me. Instead of talking,
you, Thomas, no.
instead of talking behind people's backs and getting a bunch of group think happening and people going, "Oh, he shouldn't have done that," call me.
Yeah,
right? The people who have a problem, Lou, the people who have a problem with me are people who have met me once, seen me drunk, never had a conversation with me, have no idea who I am or what I do in life. And if telling you you're a goose for getting drunk and breaking someone's leg makes me the worst bloke in the world, I don't give a shit, because I think you're a goose for getting drunk and breaking someone's leg. Just like I'm a goose for getting drunk. I fractured my skull on a letterbox once because I was too pissed. How much of a goose was I?
Yeah,
I'm
I
the
know.
first one to admit it. You weren't being attacked. You're stuffed up. Part of it was funny, part of it not funny. You copped a bunch of jokes for it. Anyone who's got an issue is more than welcome to call me anytime, but you won't, because you don't like being stabbed in the gut. You'd rather stab everyone else in the back.
But now
That
you're
is the
making
problem.
I can, but see, this is exactly my point. Now you're making an assumption of everybody else. You're not acting and
You said you've had people calling you and everyone's supporting you. And
you're
how
saying,
dare
you're
I?
saying that these people call me and say it to my face, you're stabbing, because they won't stab you in the back or whatever. But these people, yeah, you're right. These people don't even know you. These is the people's perceptions of how you come across last week. And if I didn't feel the way I did, I wouldn't have messaged Thomas after the podcast and said, listen, what the fucking hell was that? What the hell was that? Seriously.
Well, I'm unapologetic. I'm sorry you feel the way you feel, but I am going to
That's fine.
change who
If you
I
don't
am.
have an apology, that's fine. Do you know what? I didn't even ask for an apology. That wasn't even my thing. That was Thomas's thing. But you know what? I don't need an apology from you, Cam. I understand you are who you are and I am who I am. But what you come across as, to me and a lot of people, is a bloody bully because you yell and scream. And when you don't have when you're not having your say, or you're not getting across what you want to say, your way of coming across stronger is to raise your voice and yell. People don't see that as somebody with fucking wits. They see that as a bully.
People don't see it as a podcast where we're putting on a show. Have a conversation with me. I actually don't care what people think.
It is true. In his defense, in real life, he's not like that.
I don't care.
Such a nice guy.
I don't care what people, I don't care what you all think, right? I don't. And if you think ganging up and going, oh, you're such a bully, and I don't give a shit, because I know what the people around me know, and I know how I treat the people I love, and I know how I treat the people who pay me. I know how I treat my team. And if you don't like a joke on a podcast, don't listen to it. I don't actually give a shit.
All right. Okay. So, however, okay, Louise said she felt bad about it. So
I'm sorry you feel bad, Lou.
Voilà, here you go. That's all that we need.
I said that. I said, I'm sorry you feel the way you feel.
Yeah, but you didn't have to say the rest.
Okay. No. Sorry, mate. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. Because the rest negated everything you said that was good. Yeah. So, Lou, there was no malice. All right. If anything, there was no malice. Number two, yes, there are people who don't like how Cam sometimes speak, but it's a podcast. He's playing a role, and he played a very good role. I mean, as I said, I think if anything, personally, I see you very quickly as a lady and Cam having a very good role on this podcast. The only two that have a very boring role is Chris and I, because we two nice guys. I mean, no, he's a wise guy, and I'm Yoda. But the world does not want wise guys and Yoda. They want
Controversy.
Carl Sanderlands kind of stuff and Jackie O, right? So I think that this is what people need to get. And I also said to you last week, there was no malice. Plus, number two, the people who are criticizing Cam probably listening this week. All right. Yeah. And number three, if there are better people, they should really make a call to say something positive in your support, not to jump on the bandwagon. And that's joined back to what I believe we talked about earlier. People don't change because when someone gets something to help them change, the rest of the association wants to drag you back or wants to go in your support and speak their mind about the stuff. People just need to just calm down. This is a podcast. Cam is playing a bloody good role. Chris and I, we're still looking for it. Yeah.
Have you got something to say?
I have one question. How's Maria's ankle? That's the only question I've got, man. I'm sorry. That's the only question I've got. You guys can go get lost for all I care. All I want to know is, how is Maria's ankle? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, but this is the boomerang kind of question, because have you called her, Chris?
No.
Okay, so don't ask what you haven't called for.
If you're watching the podcast, text us.
All right, so guys, we are a whole family here. For the audience who's listening, when Cam says the word F-U-C-K, he's not doing that. Cam, show us your t-shirt. When you use that word, what are you saying? What are you saying?
All day I dream about sex.
That's what he's talking about. This man is
Fails.
about, he's
Fails.
all about love. He's
Yes.
all about love. He wants to share it with the world, okay? So if you don't like it, please forgive me. And if you really don't like it, don't watch.
Don't
Thank you
contribute
very
to the
much.
group think, man. Don't contribute to the group.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
We see you later on. And the
Guys.
ones who love Adidas will come back. See you guys.
Bye.